Welcome back to the Tism Report. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and I'm getting back into the groove. I'm bringing the series back, along with working on several videos. But before we get into all of that, and we start to catch up on things, I'd like to share something. Seraphy, one of the artists in the audience, made some art celebrating the FCK Maxim a couple months ago, and they made some stickers and shirts with that art, and they're currently selling them. It is completely legitimate, and specifically through a site called Redbubble. From what I've looked into, Redbubble doesn't have much of a return policy, so if you are going to get something, try to make sure you get the right size. Now, there have been many artists in the audience who have made some wonderful fan art that I really appreciate. In fact, I take screenshots of your tweets, of your messages when you guys share this fan art, and throw it into a folder, specifically because not just the art, I mean love you all sharing that, and I have like little folders with your guys' name on it, because I want to make a video. I've decided I'm not going to do a live stream. I'm going to do a dedicated video so that I can title it that appropriately, so that the artists who have made fan art of me can be appreciated. It's just going to be a video dedicated to appreciating, going over, and looking at it. And hopefully from that, they get more attention, and if they do commissions, more commissions from it. In the future, I'm also going to try and commission some of you all, hopefully, if things go on track. A couple things behind the scenes, which is why I've been active and then inactive and so forth, but we'll see. I'm getting back into the groove. Now for today's agenda. There's quite a bit we haven't covered. Quite a bit that has happened since the Tism Report was back in gear. There was Lyle's coverage of Nezziemonster by releasing his own call with Nezzie, and then there was Thuman releasing her interview from 2024 last year with Nezziemonster and Doodle Tones. And people have reacted to those calls. Beckett did, and I was briefly on both streams for that. But I've decided I'm going to cover both of those in one video to go into the playlist. On March 20th, Lin, yes, the same one that you may have briefly seen in the FCK Maxim, uploaded the Just a Robot video. And this video was particularly interesting because Lin called Beckett, yes, the Beckett from Cope and Seethe, a fascist.
Third and final reason would be because during the times where I did want to, I wasn't able to do so because I was missing a crucial audio recording that I would need in order to be able to prove the fullest extent of what happened. More specifically, the call that malware had with Jar about the issues that they were having. And I didn't have access to that call due to Mally insisting on not wanting it to go public as a means of honoring an agreement she came to with Jar to keep the situation behind closed doors. And out of respect for the amount of skin in the game that she had, I was more than happy to honor that. And things stayed that way until the 4th of February this year, when a commentator called Beckett made a live stream releasing Mally's side of the situation, including that call. And after I had been watching the stream myself for a bit, I realized something. While Mally ultimately changing her mind on whether or not to remain silent herself is something that she was more than entitled to do, it did strike me as a bit off that Mally would take the situation to a reactionary sado who talks as if he's only 1 or 2 usages of the N-word away from being right at home in a Call of Duty lobby from before I was born.
At the risk of making Jar sound dangerously based, let's just say the racism accusations are more than just doing some voices. Now, while I don't personally care, I think that there is more than enough here that if you wanted to make that accusation, it is a reasonable one to make, and Jar getting so upset about it is absolutely insane.
Oh, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.
I really do hope that the massive door that y'all are leaving open for fascistic behavior in this community by enabling this guy, rather than the people who actually pertain to the situation at hand, is getting overlooked because you guys are ignorant, rather than because you're too childish to care.
What exactly is fascistic behavior from Beckett? This is just presuming here, based off of what you were just talking about from Beckett and the fact that he doesn't care about racist behavior, aka he doesn't care about the mean words that hurt your fifis and offend your sensibilities. You're saying that's fascist behavior. That's not fascism at all. You're just throwing these words around nonsensically to look like you've got a gotcha, to force an argument. Ironically, what you were saying Beckett was doing. Fascism is authoritarianism. It is a form of nationalism. Fascism has a long documented history of trying to control the speech of others, to control the language of others. And it's ironic that the people trying to do exactly that, and then not getting their way, are accusing their opposition of being fascist. It's also really fucking hilarious, because this is coming from the same person who said that the people who disagree with him, who don't have his politics, of course calling them transphobic because you either have to partake in it or they say you hate them, have no right to be more than property. So who really has the fascist tendencies? And since you wanted to finger wag Beckett about not caring about racist behavior, you said that in reference to someone who has African American descent. I could easily scream, microaggression, microaggression, so I could really play the race card if I wanted to. Linlin allegedly said this about Kai Weiss. Can we just carve out his entrails, hang him from a street lamp with the intestines, and let me eat the rest? Totally sane behavior, by the way. I'm the problem for not telling him what he wants to hear. This is a completely sane individual. But Linlin, how could you say such a thing about a minority? As a white person, I can play the progressive Oppression Olympics too. It's not hard. You just have to look for anything you can use with mental gymnastics to make a problem out of nothing. Just as you did with Beckett admitting that he doesn't care. Ooh, big deal, he doesn't care. At least he's being honest about it. Meanwhile, you sit here and virtue signal and pretend like you really give a shit. Now, if it's not obviously clear, individuals like Linlin who are so radicalized, and I don't like to talk about politics too much here, but unfortunately it comes up because people in these communities can't help but force politics into the conversation.
Fascistic behavior.
I've shown this in the Maxim I don't know how many fucking times, but just to get to my point, people like Linlin who are so far radicalized have inflated what fascism is. Anything that does not affirm their existing beliefs, anything that does not cater to their sensibilities, and anything that offends their sensibilities is fascism. No argument for it, it just is, because they've inflated the word and thrown it around to anything that does not reflect their own views back onto them. There are many reasons why people do this and why it works within their crowd. It's like a hybrid or combination of slander and poisoning the well. It's associating their opposition's views and thus their opposition with something else that they heavily oppose, specifically their own brand of great evil that they obsess over. It isn't defending fascism or saying it's good, it is absolutely atrocious. For a good comparison, think of the Satanic Panic, when Christians were calling everything satanic to fearmonger. Rock music, D&D, Pokemon, video games as a whole really, and even the Monster energy drink. Like the Christians before who were so obsessed with Satanism that anything they didn't like or understand, they just proclaimed to be Satanism. This brand of leftism is so obsessed with fascism and proclaiming everything they don't like is fascist. I've always found it beautiful and also really fucking hilarious that these people love to constantly insist their opposition is too childish or immature for not throwing a fit over mean words. Unironically, that's the dynamic that we've got set up here. There have also been some developments in regards to the FCK, and particularly Toasty Vanilla. Yin the Yan did a wonderful video deep diving into Toasty, going into the VTubing community and how some people in the VTubing community have responded by essentially defending Toasty Vanilla and trying to proclaim that the accusations against Toasty are false despite the mountains of evidence. On top of that, there have been other developments in relation to Toasty, but I don't know if I can detail those. The people who have told me, I'm pretty certain want to keep things under wraps, so I can't give you the details on that yet. But I look forward to reacting to them with you all. And also check out Yin the Yan's video. So if you're curious about Toasty Vanilla being in the VTubing community under the name Ruby Missile, as I've talked about in a couple past Tism reports and my attempts to look into that, I've even gone around and asked questions to try and get information that unfortunately didn't really go anywhere. Yin's video does go somewhere, and if you're curious about that, I recommend you watch it. It thoroughly goes into those communities, the circles, and how those people are trying to defend Toasty by proclaiming Toasty's being falsely accused. Now, things have not been so great for the slideshow commentary community recently. Whether it be Chuli's really fucking hilarious videos going into the various people that she's had to deal with from that community, particularly Hiten especially, who lost her fucking mind and has stepped away. It's been on fire, burning away.
Everything burns.
Which isn't to be a shock, because as a result of what's been going on, people have been digging deep into these communities and the narratives that these communities have been pushing, and things have been put into question. A lot of things have been put into question. Things that were once buried, and intentionally so. Not lost to time, but simply intentionally buried, have floated to the surface as a result of people's digging. A couple days ago, Lio did a server announcement, particularly about Doodle Tones in the slideshow commentary community in one of Doodle's previous videos from 2021. So I'm going to read to you the announcement that was put in Cat's Lair. At everyone, time to rip this band-aid off. Sunday night, Susie Doodle Tones was confronted about a video she did in 2021. A video defending someone accused of grooming by the name of George Raccoon. This video ran defense for what was clearly grooming via putting known minors in art that involved this person's fetish. Susie excused these actions because the victims never stated a boundary. This is compounded by a few things. Susie initially went through the data in 2019, but made the video 2 years later. There was plenty of time for her to do proper research. In the comments of said video, one of the victims tried to defend themselves, only for several people in the community to clown on them. George was let back into the community as a direct result of this defense video. The victims have felt forced into silence due to the defense and people's response 4 years now due to that video, and the community just welcoming Horace back without question. Julie and I will be brainstorming the next few days to figure out how to uncover similar things in this community, since it now has a proven habit of silencing victims. Since then, other things have come to light, such as the SCC having a proven pattern now of silencing victims if they didn't like them, alongside actively bullying/harassing kids or hoping others do it. Susie, Yun, Avi, and several other well-known people in that community not only allowed it, but participated in it. While Susie is not a predator, this casts even more doubt on her honesty and involvement in things like the FCK or her general activities. I'll hopefully be dropping the calls this weekend, and Julie will be working on a more structured video to go into detail. A lot of digging through server logs like the Cloud Palace is currently underway, so I'm not sure of the ETA. How Susie assisted in cleaning predators out of her community while knowing she did a video defending one isn't something I have answers for. No clue how her A-loggers missed it either. Keep the conversations about this focused on the actual wrongdoings and not previous controversies she's been in. I have a couple of thoughts about that. Susie told Laka, pretty much the entire public, that their reasoning for not covering anything of what was going on about the FCK or talking about it was that they didn't make content like that. And yet, as we've discovered, this George Raccoon video covered grooming and covered similar things to the FCK and Toasty Vanilla. But the entire claim of, I didn't make content like that, I didn't know how to do that, you were doing so in 2021. Now, shortly after this, Lio did about 40 minute call talking to the audience members in his server about Hiten and Susie. And I will be reacting to it live tonight. There is one clip that I have seen from it, and it's something that I'd like to shine some light on. In the call, Lio mentions that he recently found out that the Doodle Diapers nickname given to Susie by Medicare was not coined by Medicare. Medicare did not come up with it.
And it is now opening up the fact that a lot of children were failed in this community. In fact, in one specific conversation, it didn't happen in Cloud Palace, but in another commentary space, where Lin at 15, all right, let's talk about literal child, did a video they didn't like. And instead of just having a conversation, they were in back rooms talking trash and hoping that it would get the attention of someone like Medicare. Now, Susie here has gone on multiple times talking about how her run-in with Medicare caused problems, how she got doxxed over it, yada, yada. We're finding some of that's not accurate either. Apparently, she left her information laying around. And the thing that people give her the most grief for is the diaper stuff, right? Well, yeah, haha, call her Doodle Diapers. And Susie's been going on saying, well, you know, Doodle Diapers, that's a name they gave me to harass me. Yeah, I found out that's not true either. Check chat. Oh, yeah, she gave it to herself in 2014. This is sourced directly, and I've seen the link. I've followed it. I've looked into it. This is from her original DeviantArt account. Now, I'm not going to say that the way Susie was treated was still correct, obviously. I'm not. But everything Susie has said now about just about anything now is under question.
I was the one who conveyed this information to Lio because I myself recently found out about it thanks to an audience member in my Discord server. You're wonderful, Lava. Thank you for that. And I then conveyed this information to Lio as we were talking about it, expressing the narrative that Susie has put around Medicare in and of itself has been much hogwash. Plenty of bullshit. Case in point, the Doodle Diapers nickname was not something that Medicare came up with. Susie came up with it August 29th of 2014 on the Doodle Tones DeviantArt account, specifically in a post where it says Doodle Diapers Inc. That was the name he had given himself and his company that were making the diapers in his real place. And when Doodle Tones covered Medicare in the infamous Kink Shaming Isn't My Fetish video, Medicare responded on September 16th of 2016 in the Hugbox Chronicles series, where he pointed out that Doodles had the diaper fetish stuff on the DeviantArt account and said, I'm going to call you by your proper name, Doodle Diapers.
Regarding the sudden censors. From Doodletones. So I'm moving accounts, Why? Because my grandmother thinks I have a mental illness and doesn't realize some of the stuff I post online may be for fun. A mental illness? What? What could possibly have made your grandmother think you have a mental illness? Oh, maybe it's, is it that? ABDL, Adult Baby Diaper Lover Role-Playing Group? Doodle Tones, or should I call you by your proper name? Doodle Diapers.
And ever since then, Doodles and the SCC have, of course, been seething about Medicare and anything closely in relation to Medicare, because he supposedly gave Doodles that nickname, that mocking nickname. How dare you? They were spurging out about this nickname years ago. How dare you call Mama Doodle Tones that accursed nickname?
I realize there is absolutely nothing that can be done to change these people. They're going to continue to be a constant circle jerk that will protect Mama Doodle Tones at all costs.
Before I go into this, I want to make this clear. Believe it or not, I'm not actually upset about the sheer fact that you even dared to call Mama Doodles a he, or the accursed Doodle Diapers nickname.
Well, it turns out their diaper-shitting overlord came up with it for himself. Now, my best assumption, the same thing that I told Lio, was that Doodles probably didn't admit having come up with that name because it's embarrassing, but also because it would contradict the thing that Doodles and everyone else was trying to do back then in 2016 and 2017, which was deny the diaper fetish. Ponder Sprocket is on record trying to say that there wasn't enough evidence for the diaper fetish, and then was like, well, how does it affect her content? Why do you care? As if it's not obvious people only cared because of the attempt to deny something very real and true.
The fact that people legitimately believe that Doodle Tones had some kind of a diaper fetish is so monumentally stupid that it's almost not even worth talking about, but this is the guy surviving the internet, and we cover internet history, so we have to talk about it. Needless to say, everybody ran with it, and it earned her the embarrassing nickname Doodle Diapers. And no, I don't know who came up with that. It was either Jesus with Bazooka 79 Lives or some other stupid troll, I don't know.
It's pretty obvious that Mr. Medicare came up with the name, and he did have a reason for it.
Mental illness? What? What could possibly have made your grandmother think you have a mental illness? Maybe it's, is it that? ABDL, Adult Baby Diaper Lover Role-Playing Group? Doodle Tones, or should I call you by your proper name? Doodle Diapers. Doodle Diapers, do you get off on shitting yourself?
Oh no's! Alleged controversies surrounding someone that in no way affect anybody else, nor do they affect the quality of her content. The very horror!
Sweetie, you might want to keep watching the video, because my problem isn't that she has a diaper fetish. Now, does Doodle Tones have a diaper fetish? The answer is, I don't know, and I don't care. If she does or does not, I wouldn't think any more or less of her.
Which is why it's so necessary to bring it up.
Literally, the next part explains this. What I do have a problem with are the people saying, oh, what do you mean Doodle has a diaper fetish? Oh, where did you get that from?
I'm kind of sick of the bitchware meme at this point.
Are you serious? Right here.
The fact that people legitimately believe that Doodle Tones had some kind of a diaper fetish is so monumentally stupid that it's almost not even worth talking about, but this is the guy surviving the internet, and we cover internet history, so we have to talk about it. Needless to say, everybody ran with it, and it earned her the embarrassing nickname Doodle Diapers. And no, I don't know who came up with that. It was either Jesus with Bazooka 79 Lives or some other stupid troll, I don't.
This was in the fucking video. How the fuck did you miss it? You even put this clip in your video. My argument had a beginning, middle, and end. I explained everything. I showed a guy denying that there's any evidence that Doodle Tones has a diaper fetish. I showed evidence that she does have a diaper fetish, and I even explained that her having a diaper fetish is not the problem. I don't fucking care. I have a maid fetish. My problem is that people deny evidence, and it's right in front of your face, and you're still ignoring it. If you want more proof, here you go.
Where Doodle Tones fetish, fetish was revealed, and then that caused an entire thing. And now every time
I'm gonna have to stop you right there. It wasn't her fetish. It was people slapping something onto her to get a rise out of her.
And they've been trying to deny and sort of skirt around that reality for years now. Doodle's audience members and specific slideshow individuals have done so, whether it be Abby Hultman or Hidden Bonsai as he was going by at the time, or even Soda Pop Barbecue. Just 2 or 3 years ago, were denying it on the basis of, well, the accusations are from Kiwi Farms, therefore wrong, attacking the source, despite the fact that the evidence on Kiwi Farms is archived raw data. They have the actual archives of the DeviantArt accounts and the pages, but it's also still on Doodle's DeviantArt accounts to this day. But they're going to ignore that fact, and have been ignoring that fact, to then go, well, it's on Kiwi Farms, so it must be wrong. because they don't like the people that are on Kiwi farms. That's the same argument that these people use to ignore the FCK and the information in relation to it, because I was talking about it, attacking the source rather than the claims and the information. It's the same thing that they tried to do to FCK leaks or Ren. Oh, and it's the same thing that Keffels tried to do in regards to Kiwi farms. Oh, well, that information's on Kiwi farms, so it must be false. But the SCC have been desperately trying to deny it, and they've used a variety of arguments, one of which is proclaiming that the diaper fetishism photographs were just requests when not all of them were requests, and another one is to proclaim that there's no evidence that it's Susie's fetish. No evidence that it's a fetish. Case in point is Auto Magic Critic, someone who years ago previously pointed out the diaper fetishism, yet in more recent years has been trying to deny it. On May 16th of 2022, in a live chat that I was in, I can't remember the actual video, but I do have the logs, I said, the SCC denied the fetish for years, only for Doodles to admit to it in 2022, lol, specifically referring to the Mad Libs hit piece and Doodles' participation in it. That still gives me a good laugh. Auto Magic Critic comes in with, everyone knew that Doodles did the diaper fetish pictures. What we're saying is that she did it as a request. Auto Magic, there were several images, not just one. You are using an old and dumb talking point. I know, she did them as requests. There were several art pieces. Only one of them was a dare/request. I am aware she did more than one. She did them as requests. One was a request, lol. And were the roleplays requests? Sure. Just because you partook in them doesn't necessarily mean she has that fetish. I think he means just because but he's frantically typing here trying to make excuses for Susie, so he made a little slip up there. Doodles admitted it was a fetish. You are pointlessly defending away. She doesn't get aroused by them or anything. LOL. She admitted doing them. Ah, yes. Role plays it. Drawing it, complaining that no one wants it in the roleplays, definitely not a fetish. She made it no secret that she partook in them, and how they were cringy, complaining that no one wants it in the roleplay. I never said Doodles kept it a secret. Making up a point and responding to it. You're just making things up at this point. I said, oh, just wait. We will see who's making shit up. He says, it seems, ? Several art pieces, including the self-insert character, several roleplays, several posts complaining about no one liking or thrashing the fetish, but Doodles doesn't have the fetish. Truly leaps and bounds of gymnastics. Nothing that you've presented proves anything. I might repeatedly make artwork and roleplay fictional characters doing a fetish, complaining when people don't want to do the fetish, or people thrashing it. But trust me, it isn't my fetish. Auto Magic, there's a shit ton of evidence. Check Susie's DeviantArts. She partook in various different things relating to that. Nothing you've shown is anything new or novel. Everything that you've shown is something that everyone knew about. So if everyone knew about it, Auto Magic Critic, why are you denying it? Why'd you start off trying to deny it and make defenses for it with, well, they were requests, as if Doodles didn't make art of himself doing diaper fetish, as if he didn't make several role plays and make up lore for his diaper fetish role plays, as if he didn't come up with the nickname Doodle Diapers for himself, as if he didn't refer to himself as a diaperer, a not so normal diaperer. But he totally doesn't have the fetish. I wonder what you have to say years later now that things have blown up about that. There's a specific phenomena related to this. You should look up the Ash conformity experiments. It's an experiment that showcases that people will ignore evidence with their own eyes and cater to whatever the consensus is among their peers, even when they know it's objectively false. In other news that's in relation to the George Raccoon and Doodle Tones video from 2021, Ponder Sprocket made a very interesting comment on it. It's almost like a bunch of people who throw out serious accusations aren't actually qualified to make these accusations. Now, when I was shown this comment, I was like, this is divine comedy. This is beautiful. Because this was written a year after her several videos falsely accusing me. So I took to Twitter and I tagged her in it. Less than 24 hours later, and she's deleted the fucking comment. You know, the same person that lectured me about deleting comments 3 months after I stopped doing so, who accused me of deleting tweets to try and hide my actions, has no problem deleting tweets and deleting her own comments because they make her look bad. She's a queen, alright. A queen of hypocrisy. So what do you guys think? Because what I see ahead is another Tism storm. Oh, and on that note, I will be making a video on the Cloud Palace. I'm very interested from the few things I've seen from it, doing a deep dive into the Cloud Palace, because there's many very interesting people as I've come across and looked at the names of the people that were in there, and some very interesting and downright fucking hilarious things that have been said in there. Never mind, of course, the utter hypocrisy and the sheer gall of said hypocrisy. There's a reason the Cloud Palace is private, folks, and you're gonna find out why real soon. Thought the hug boxes I showed you previously were good. Oh boy, wait till you see the Cloud Palace. I'm excited as you are.